Hello world, Shelly here, and today it's time for your Friday Foundation Fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. And today I'm going to check out a foundation that I have been super curious about, the Milk Makeup Blur Liquid Matte Foundation. And this is what the sales packaging looks like. I think it's cheap, but I find it attractive. The best attractive part of it is that all four corners are sealed so you can tell if it has been tampered with, because when you're dropping $40 US on a foundation, you do not want to get something that someone else has already squeezed and touched and just ew. For your $40, you're going to get 1 fluid ounce of product, and that is about typical for a standard foundation. Let's take a look at Sephora's website for some claims and information on this product. It's got over 1,100 reviews on Sephora's site right now, and it's getting more than 4 out of 5 stars, like 4 and a smidge. And with 1,100 reviews, that's a significantly positive review level. It is listed as full coverage and for skin types sensitive, normal, combo, and oily. You might notice dry is not on that list. I'm 42 years old. I got dry skin. It's less dry this time of year than it is in the dead of winter, but it's still dry pretty much no matter what. But I've been having pretty good luck with some matte foundations lately, so I am going to give this a whirl anyway and hope that it holds up for me. They call this a matte finish and ultra weightless full coverage foundation with an oil-free, silicone-free formula that lets skin breathe. Designed to make applying and wearing foundation easy, the Blur Liquid Matte Foundation offers flawless full coverage at first swipe, leaving a smooth matte finish that looks and feels light as air. Like Milk's Blur Stick, blah, 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 I don't want to hear about all that. Minimizes the appearance of pores, imperfections, using blurring microspheres, tiny powder-filled spheres that diffuse light and leave a flawless, soft focus effect. It's a lightweight, water-based formula, innovative airless tip to minimize air exposure and eliminate dripping. Not bad for a tube. Allows your foundation to stay fresh, color true, stays inside the package, doesn't drip everywhere. Formulated without parabens, without sulfates, without phthalates, and they did say silicone-free. It's vegan, oil-free, gluten-free, silicone-free, and cruelty-free. This foundation comes in 16 shades, so not the best, but not the worst shade range. I've got this in shade Fair, which is second from the lightest. This is described as being for fair with pink undertones. The lightest shade, Ivory, is described as for fair with neutral to yellow undertones. I'm basically neutral with cool pink undertones. Just a smidge, not a whole lot. On the color scale, when you go to Sephora and they do the color IQ match on your skin, I'm like anywhere from a 1 yellow to a 2 red, which is the degree of yellow, neutral, or pink that I've got in my undertone, and the number goes all the way to 7, so I'm always on the very close to neutral, but I prefer a cool foundation on me. So there's one lighter shade than this, but I didn't get to swatch these because I ordered this online, but I think if you compare them side by side, it might not be lighter, it might just be a different undertone. It goes to a fairly deep range, but there's not a lot of choices, in variations of the shades. So that's where we're at with shade range. I am going to apply this on one half of my face with a sponge. This is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, and on the other side with a brush, this is the Artis Oval 7, and we'll see if I have a preference. Now, I have already cleansed, moisturized, sunscreened my face, and I have applied primer, and since this is a silicone-free foundation, I wanted to use a silicone-free primer. So I got out my little sample of the Too Faced Hangover RX primer. This is a water-based primer. Generally speaking, you want to use water-based primers with water-based foundations and silicone primers with silicone foundations. Most of the time, that will give you the best results. Honestly, I've had okay results mixing various silicone-based primers because I tend to prefer the feeling of a silicone-based primer with a water-based foundation, but I actually don't have very many water-based foundations in my collection. So as a rule of thumb, you don't want to mix them. Your results may vary if you do mix them up. So that is why I'm deviating from my normal Urban Decay Urban Defense primer, and I'm going to use the Too Faced Hangover RX because it's water-based and this is water-based. Matchy-matchy, Good times. Let's swatch. First up, I've got today's foundation, the Milk Makeup Blur in shade Fair. Second is the MAC Studio Sculpt, and this is in shade NW15. This is their cool toned range. Third up, I've got the Urban Decay All Nighter Foundation in shade 1.5. Fourth, and I think this is the very most similar to this, it is the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation in shade Light 44 Cool. And last up, I've got the new Too Faced Peach Perfect that's in shade Porcelain. And Too Faced has the most distorted version of what porcelain and fair skin is that I've ever seen in my life from a prestige brand. But that is neither here nor there. There are your swatches. The foundation review superpower antennas are going on. I'm going to shake it up just to be safe. It sounds pretty liquidy. I hear it rattling around in there. Ooh. So yeah, this whole specialized kind of weirdish air preventing no dripping tip looks interesting. Now you guys know I prefer a pump for a couple reasons. It keeps air out of your foundation, which keeps it more color true, and it lasts longer, so this tip might give me that result. But the other thing I don't like about a tube is that you can't really tell how much product you're dispensing out. And once I figure out like the perfect amount of foundation, like 2 pumps or a pump and a half or 2.5 pumps or whatever it is, I like to stick with that so I'm not wasting product. And you really will never know exactly how much you're using with a squeezy tube, but such is life. Let's start there. Pretty liquidy. It has a scent. Kind of fruity. Oh yeah, this is full coverage, like bam. And I'm noticing that a little bit of this product goes a long way. That might be as close to complete full coverage on one pass with a sponge that I have ever seen in my life. I can barely see any of my sunspots poking through, and this is the worst side of my face. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, we are definitely rocking a pink undertone here, which is what I like. I love it when a foundation doesn't lie to you or exaggerate their claims about undertones. Overall, I think this is a really nice finish. It is not straight up dry matte. It has a little teeny bit of luminosity to it, just a natural finish to it. I really like the finish. It looks a little bit heavy around my chin, and I feel like it's on the verge of caking up around my nostrils, but my nose is as smooth as I have ever seen it. It is working miracles on my nose. I think it's doing a little bit to blur texture on my cheeks as well. It's not really blurring pores. I feel like all of the pores around my mouth and chin are visible. It's not settling into them, it's not accentuating them, but I don't feel like it's really blurring them out. Same thing with in between my eyebrows, in that center area of the upper part of my nose. I have larger pores there, and I feel like it's not blurring them. It's not accentuating them, it's just not blurring them. It looks okay on my forehead. It is settling a tiny bit into the lines on my forehead, but it's not yet settling into the lines on my smile line. So let me tap out my forehead, and we'll see if we can just tap it out and get it to stop settling into these lines. Overall, I think this looks nice. I think the color match is pretty doggone good. I'm happy with the color match, and first impression is pretty good. Now, I did not use all of that product. In fact, there's pretty much a good bunch of product left on my palette, so a little bit definitely goes a long way. I'm not even going to try to build this up. This is so close to full coverage that I'm very happy with the coverage I'm getting out of this right now. This is a-okay for me. It's clinging a little bit to this blemish I've got, but you know, what can you do? That's where we're at. We will call the check-in time 12:20, and I'll be back after I put on my whole face. Here we go. I am back, and at a distance, I think this looks like a really nice foundation. I am sad to report that up close, it's kind of a hot mess, and things are going downhill quickly. It settles into every single line, even the lines that are so small that foundation doesn't usually settle in them. I have tapped out all of my forehead lines, not just the 3 big ones, a dozen times at this point. I've tapped out my smile lines, I've tapped out my chin lines. The other thing I had issues with is that blending on top of this, powders went on fine, but I did not have a very good time blending my concealer. My concealer looks like crap right now. And I did not set my face with powder. I just set my under eye concealer. I used the NARS Radiant Creamy in Vanilla, and it just creped up kind of right along the seam of where the foundation meets the concealer. It did not blend out very well at all. It is starting to accentuate my smile lines at the corners of my eyes, and so that's troublesome. Now, if you have more mature skin than I do, this I don't think is going to work. The texture of it is super lightweight. It dried down very nicely. It honestly looks a lot heavier than it feels. It is looking pretty heavy around my chin, and my nose still looks nice. So that is where we are starting out at right now. I will be back in a few hours with a daylight check-in, and then I will come back at the end of the night and give you guys my final thoughts. I keep forgetting lately to tell you guys what's on the rest of my face. So my face is the L'Oreal Glam Bronze and one of the blushes from the Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean. And then my highlight, what did I use for my highlight? Highlight was also from Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean, the cheek palette. My eyes are the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism palette, and I put some of the Stila Magnificent Metals glitter on top of there. Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir mascara, Physicians Formula 2-in-1 Ultra Black liner, and my lip is Tarte lip paint, the Tarteist lip paint in Birthday Suit. Hey guys, daylight check-in here. I cannot remember what time the check-in time was. I will put it on the screen, but it is now 5 p.m. and I think this is a really good color match for me in terms of shade selection. This was the shade Fair, but in terms of, oh, you can see my disastrous mess of over there, yikes. In terms of the foundation itself, I'm torn. I think it looks really nice at a distance, and up close, it looks pretty bad. It's like breaking apart on all of my lines and settling into all of my lines. It's looking patchy all around where my concealer was and a little spot on my forehead. I don't know. I feel like this might have potential. I might continue to work with it and see if I can get good combos of products that will make this work for me. It feels really nice, lightweight, almost like nothing. It's a little bit drying. I feel a little dry at this point in the day. I think we're about 5 hours in now. Wasn't the check-in like somewhere around noon? Something like that. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm conflicted. I'll see you guys tonight. Hey everybody, it is 9:19 p.m. so that puts us at the 9-hour mark. I went back and checked what time check-in was. It was 12:20. So we are at about the 9-hour mark, and this is just a super conundrum of a foundation. Now, on camera right now, like when I look in my viewfinder here, I think at a conversational distance, this foundation still looks pretty darn good. I think my favorite part about how it looks at a distance is that the color's not wearing off really anywhere. It's still true to color. It still looks like my whole face is covered. I don't have redness poking through. I mean, maybe the smidgiest bit on my nose, but I mean, I feel like I look like I still have a face of makeup on and it hasn't melted off my face. But when you get up close, it's really kind of not great. So it didn't cake up around my nostrils, so no caking happened. I finally quit tapping out the settling into my lines and just let it sit there because I couldn't win that battle. It's breaking down on my chin, and just kind of the breakdown that is separating. It's separating on my chin. It looks pretty dry on my under eye. It's definitely separating in between my eyebrows, and my forehead looks a bit textured. It's starting to settle just a tiny bit into the pores on my nose, and it just looks kind of heavy around my nose, but this is just like foundation breakdown, you know, kind of the normal foundation breakdown, if I have to say there is such a thing. I feel like it's possible that there's a winning combination for my skin and this product. Now, that said, I don't think there's going to be a winning combination for mature skin, for skin with more fine lines than I've got. And if you can't handle just a little bit of settling, then this is not going to be for you, because I couldn't get that to stop happening. But it's pretty minor, and it's not a deal breaker for me. The dryness factor, I don't think it got any worse. I don't feel uncomfortable right now. I just feel that same tiny bit of dry that I felt earlier. It really is a lightweight foundation. It feels really nice and lightweight. It seems pretty transfer proof. Let's just try the phone test, shall we? I'm just going to clean my phone real quick. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Bye. Not too bad. You know, there's a little residue. It doesn't transfer a super lot. Like, there are some upsides to this that make me want to make it work. One of the upsides for me is that this is a color match. And when I look at something like the Too Faced Peach Perfect that I really like the finish of, but even when I have to combine two colors, and it's still not going to be a perfect color match for me. Like, this is an appealing factor for me. Now, with only 16 shades, that's not going to be a factor for everybody. It might be tough to get an exact color match. Not super hard, but it might be, you might not find one in this line, but that is an appealing match to me. So, oh my goodness, what do I do? This is like the conundrum. What do I do? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Some things I think this foundation performs above average. Some things I think it's performing below average. If we even it all out and take the average of all the aboves and belows, I think we're going to come in at a flat C. I'm going to call it average. I'm going to say, with the addendum, that I would not recommend this for mature skin. I'd say if you have super, super, super dry skin, this might be more drying. I've got pretty dry skin, but this time of year it's not terribly bad, so I can tolerate minor dryness. I'm going to give it a C. We're giving the Milk Makeup a C, and that's going to be pending the trial and error of some more experimentation with this. I would like to see if I can get it to work any better. I think it has the potential to maybe be a B-level foundation in my life, but I'm going to have to work on it. So I will keep you guys posted. I'm going to give the Milk Makeup Blur Foundation a letter grade of a C. It's coming in at average. It's got some pros and cons, and that's where we're going to roll from here on out. I'll keep you guys posted if I get any more luck with this foundation. If you would like to see more foundation reviews, give me a thumbs up down below. Please leave me some comments with suggestions for foundations. You can always search Geek Out of Water and whatever foundation you're looking for to see if I've already looked at it. And thank you, as always, for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.